If you ask me who amongst the Hashira is my favorite Hashira, it has to be without a doubt Shinobu, the Insect Hashira. Shinobu is such a very well written character, and the phrase never judge a book by its cover never applied more to a character than when it comes to Shinobu. You see, just a single look at Shinobu, it's very easy to put her in the stereotypical character who is always seen to be positive, always smiling no matter what, and just a cheery, good old, feel-good character. But as we learn more and more about Shinobu's past in the story, we learn that there is way more behind that smile of hers, and that being a sad and tragic past. Shinobu grew up with her older sister Kanai Kocho. When they were young, a demon slaughtered their parents, and just as they were about to be also killed, they were saved by the rock pillar. Determined to not see anyone else go through the same fate they had gone through, the two sisters decide that they also want to get stronger and fight against the demons. So they asked Gyome to introduce them to a trainer. Many years later, now both full-fledged warriors, they run into Kanao and decide to take her in. One day, Kanai, who now was the flower Hashira, runs into Doma, Abramuntu, and he damaged her tremendously, unsurprisingly. And just as he was about to devour her, he noticed the sun was coming up, so he decides to retreat. Shinobu then arrives later on the scene. Mortified seeing her dear old sister on the verge of death, she vows to get revenge, asking and begging her sister to tell her the demon who was responsible. Next, let's get into a little about her personality. Shinobu displays a bright and cheery demeanor, always having a smile on her face, regardless of the situation she is in. However, this is shown very quickly to be a facade, shown in the way she enjoys teasing others to the point of being rather sadistic about it, enjoying most notably to pick on Kiyu Tomioka. Despite her relaxed exterior and her initial claim of wanting to get along with the demons, she can be rather cruel towards them, which is seen when she kills the daughter spider demon. After giving her false hope of helping her and also attempting of helping her, she also attempts to kill Nezuko without hesitation at first glance. Later on, she is shown to have a more compassionate side to both the Kamado siblings after she hears their full story. We later learn that her outwardly calm and her cheery disposition is worn as a mask, as Shinobu holds an intense hatred for demons due to the loss of her sister at a young age, along with the death of her parents and almost all of her Sukoku and the families of her apprentices at the Butterfly Mansion. This hatred is so strong that she is in a near constant state of anger, which is sensed by Tanjiro when the two individuals hold a conversation. Her desire to get revenge rendered her unable to live the normal life her sister had wished upon her, instead devoting the entirety of her energy to defeating demons. Shinobu's younger self had a more brash and straightforward demeanor, as seen when she and her sister rescued Kanao, who she had a negative attitude towards raising her. But after the death of Kanai, however, Shinobu started outwardly behaving more like her sister and eventually developed her smile and attitude to match while internally holding in her rage. Though not always, Shinobu has a notable temper, namely in the way that makes even Inosuke take notice. We see it when she absolutely explodes with the rage when she sees Doma and notices that he is the one who was responsible for the death of her older sister. During her battle against Doma, we also see that Shinobu actually suffers from an inferiority complex. I don't know how to say that. Inferiority? Come on, man. She suffers an inferiority complex due to her inferior physical abilities compared to her fellow Hashira, having been jealous of them for possessing taller or more muscular bodies than her and cursing her own for not developing much further to make her more effective in combat. But this fact does not hinder in the slightest when it comes to her effectiveness against the demons. Shinobu is a user of the insect breathing, a breathing style that was branched out from the flower breathing, which itself is branched out of the water breathing. The insect breathing mimics the lethal stings and movements of various insects and infuses it with a variety of sword techniques, which includes stabbing, thrusting, and making shallow cuts with a specially coated made sword to inflict multiple wounds onto the intended target in order to inject various lethal wisteria-based poisons into the intended target. This style is the personal creation of Shinobu, who designed it to compensate her lack of physical strength to cut off a demon's head. Hence, this sword style can only be utilized by her and only using a unique katana with a needle-like tip resembling an insect's stinger in appearance and function. The tip of her sword, the stinger, is designed for injecting wisteria poisons into demons. Shinobu is also very close with the water and the love Hashira. The only two Hashiras we often see together in the story are Giyu and Shinobu, but we later learn Shinobu is also very close with the love Hashira due to them being the only females amongst the Hashira. And Mizuri even taught Shinobu her western cooking. Shinobu is very deadly and shows no emotions when she is in battle as seen during her battle against Doma. Even after he punctured her limbs, cutting both of her collarbone and puncturing one of her ribs, she still stood up and battled until her last breath. After Doma had devoured her, we later find out during the battle between Doma and Kanao and Inosuke that she was the one responsible for Doma melting and had a major role in the defeat of Doma, and we find out that it was the works of Shinobu. In order to defeat Doma, Shinobu heavily altered her body by absorbing and altering her body's physiology with highly concentrated wisteria-based poison over a period of a year. She is successful in saturating her body with the undetectable poison that has completely merged with her body's own cell structures, including those of her blood and internal organs, all the way down to the very tips of her fingernails. With Shinobu's overall size and body weight, her body is equivalent of 37 kilograms worth of poison, approximately 700 times more than the lethal amount needed to kill an average demon, with the poison being strong enough to melt Doma, the upper rank, down to his very bones, in the process getting the revenge for his sister and herself. Shinobu also aided Yushiro and Lady Tamayo to help come up with a drug that would work against Muzan, and a drug that also aided Nezuko to turn back into human. Although it did not work on Muzan, it worked on Nezuko. I mean, you're welcome, Zenitsu. Just saying, bro. Even though strength-wise she is at the bottom compared to her fellow Hashira, Shinobu's skills and major impact on the story cannot be undermined. There you have it, ladies and gents. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss my upcoming Demon Slayer videos. And with that said, until next time.